sticking with Japan for a little bit here. Another chart that you said that had really intrigued you. This was back in February when you were at Uradell University Live. Was the Nikkei. Nikkei had hit a 30-year high, or it finally broke above and got to an all-time high. What was it? I didn't get a chance to ask him. What was it about the Nikkei that said, "Hey, this is something we need to watch here, and this is something you really need to be interested in"? As far as the overall portfolio management topic and the portfolio management mindset.
It's like a storm, like concentrating on the one point in. But there are 2 points of explanation. The first point, again, would be the hiatus, the price ceiling that has been retained over decades. And then suddenly there are informed investors who are stepping forward and paying a new price. Yeah, and as you say, if we go back within the period of the last 2 years, for the first time since the last days of the 1980s, professional, informed, well-capitalized investors were stepping up, and they were willing to do something that no one in history had done previously, which was to buy 40,000 Nikkei. And so that's 1989. Yeah, that's a long, long time. And so again, I said to you, when that happened over the space of 17 years for the Nikkei, for the Nasdaq, we went up 5 times. And when it happened with gold, we went up 5, 6, 7 times to the peak we saw earlier this year of over $6,000. And I could take you through many, many iterations of that. So again, seeing the 40,000, I think the word would be infamously, I had bought a 15-year one-touch 40,000 Nikkei strike, but it expired before we got there. Because it really, I set it up on the basis of a 25-year calendar anniversary, which is what the Dow took from its 29 high until the early 1950s, about 25 years. And I was out, this was a really, not as long as the silver market. And that's another one where silver, I think, is certainly the longest hiatus from that 1980 high that I've seen, but it's taken it out, and silver is fascinating. And again, could I tell you what will take silver from $50 to 200? No, but the probability I signed despite that deficit of knowledge is very, very high. So I think silver is going from 50 to 200, and I think Nikkei, more importantly, is going. I just started publishing over the weekend. Prepare for Nikkei going from 40,000 to 200,000. That's simply just curiosity and imagination, and trying to use a different part of your brain than the Bloomberg terminal kind of insists. So I've just been doing monkey brain.
Well, no, it's not necessarily monkey brain, is it? It's more of, hey, look, there are other people who have information that I don't have. And like you said, they're well-heeled people, very intelligent, they're very well connected. And if you've got a lot of people like that who are willing to pay at a new high for the Nikkei or a new high for silver, in some ways you don't necessarily need to fill in all the blanks. You just need to overcome your own inhibitions and say, look, there are people who are smarter than me. They're more connected than me. They're buying it, and they continue to do so. I mean, there's always risk to jumping on the trade. But what you're really saying is it's not necessarily the monkey brain. It's a monkey brain is you don't necessarily need to fill in the blanks. You just need to understand that the signal you're getting is from people that you would likely trust, that have information that you'll probably never have. We'll invent a narrative, but they have information that is valuable information, and you just need to be able to participate. First of all, you need to decipher the signal and then participate in whatever it is that they're doing that you should probably be doing too.
So, and the message is, it's a big task. We kind of got a few corners. Like we need a few pro tips. How do you go from the world which is this size to the world which is your portfolio? And this is one of the screening mechanisms for hopefully achieving that. And you are piggybacking on investment banks paying a ton of money to have that insight. And you get it. Your curiosity allows you to piggyback if you know what the pattern looks like. So these are, I think, worthwhile conversations to have. So now, but let's do intelligent investor, because this all comes back into this world of quantitative easing, yield curve control. And back to, you brought up Paul Krugman and his missive to the Bank of Japan at the turn of the decade, which I get, and I understand it. His missive was, you have to credibly convince the market that you will be reckless, because and so take a step back. Why should a central bank that must pride its probity and its good judgment why on earth would it do so? And it would do so because I think something you majored on, which is that central banking increasingly is a game of persuasion, if not mental manipulation. And there are times when it's very, very necessary when animal spirits have become lodged and stuck at a point very, very far away from the center. Japan has covered the entire spectrum from the heights of their bubble economy until where they were. So again, to recap, they had the best part of 30 years meandering, like the stocks meandered like the random drunk person up and down, but nothing happened. And there's certainly the greatest failure, and I think it was a failure which ultimately came to the reset in policy, was Japan's central bank was seeking real wage growth. That was implicit in everything it was doing, was the establishment of real wage growth, to put some vibrancy back in, and to give the personal sector needed the vibrancy because the corporate sector was still in a comatose slumber. And the profound failure of quantitative easing and the yield curve control was that cumulatively this century, Japanese real wage growth has been negative. And that is the worst record of any G7 economy over that period. Even with the inflationary consequences of COVID, they never got it. And so I think there was a rethink. And, I want to, playing with this the first time I've really thought about it, but I want to say that Krugman's reckless thing was, I think, the yield curve control was like, we're just going to buy. Like, we're not price sensitive, we're not value sensitive. You want to sell them, we're going to buy them. And actually, I think the yield curve control came in and it doubled down on the safety of the JGB. It was literally the safest instrument in the world, which wasn't necessary because you had an entire economy which was like, I just want safe things. And you're like, but this is really safe. Great, that means I'm going to sell everything out. The more you make this safe, the more I will find room in my portfolio to have more of this cash. Now, the more that I encourage the migration in my private sector to insane levels of cash probity, then there's no vibrancy left in my economy. And so I think after 25 years, who knows, but maybe someone got it and they said, let's go back to being incredibly reckless, okay? So let's invent another world. So this is the world where the yen weakens. Let the yen weaken. And apparently we're meant to intervene a little bit. But so here's my invented reality. As you know, yen weakness. Now, the yen weakness that has been recorded is one of the greatest currency realignments in modern history, or like in the history of the last 100 years. I mean, the decline of the yen is not far off. If you take the tails out, it's not far off the devaluation of the Thai baht in 1998. It really isn't. It's not far off what the UK, the sterling has been devalued
a couple
from
times,
over 2 to the dollar to like 130. Looks like it's heading all the way to parity. These things happen. But so that, because I want to say something, I want to say that currency devaluations, and this is significant, but currency devaluations lead to a transfer of wealth or economic resource of good stuff from the corporate sector to the personal. Sorry, the other way, from the personal sector to the corporate sector. That the corporate sector gets its pricing power is better. And it's like, actually, we can raise our margin. And so the stock market is not shy to that. And so the stock market typically reacts to a currency devaluation by repricing the local stock market much higher. And we saw that famously when George Soros had managed to push sterling out of the exchange rate mechanism. Stock market soared on that day. It was a massive transfer in economic resource to the British corporate sector. So that's okay, hold on a second. So we are, our people are in penury, if you will. They're so sad, and now we want to punish them? Well, we want to
terrific
punish.
Economic policy, right? Let's give the banks all the safe assets they could possibly want while we punish the individual households and reward the corporate sector with it's like a perverse kind of trickle-down economics where we just give the corporates as much as we possibly can and just hope one day they decide, we're gonna do something that's economically beneficial. It's perverse.